Well, it was definitely what happened last year between Caitlin Clark and, Andrew Reese. It was, talked about and would have liked to seen that rematch in time. But Caitlin Clark is a special player. She reminds me of a Steph Curry. A lot of times she takes those ill-advised shots that me and Chuck don't like, but they go in. Not only do they go in consistently. And the way she plays the game, she's the true definition of a great player. And I was a hater because, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot. And bam, like, damn.
Just when you thought the basketball drama couldn't get any bigger, Shaquille O'Neal has set the internet on fire. The NBA legend has apologized to Caitlin Clark, admitting he was a hater, but couldn't ignore her undeniable greatness any longer.
Not only was she making a great shot, she was making great passes, and she took her loss with humility. I want to see more games.
But that's not all. Shaq stunned everyone by publicly calling out Angel Reese. In front of Angel herself, he dropped some hard truths, saying Caitlin Clark is in a league of her own, likening her to Steph Curry for her consistency and skill.
Why do you think people love Caitlin Clark besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point.
Meanwhile, Angel, more focused on fashion than performance, was urged to prove herself on the court. And as if the spotlight on Caitlin wasn't already intense, news just broke about her stalker being arrested, adding another layer to this unfolding saga.
Michael Lewis, the suspect in question, traveled to Indianapolis from Texas. Authorities identified him through his IP address. It is alleged that this man was direct messaging Caitlin Clark and also tweeting at her on X. And he even said at one point that he had been driving around your house 3 times a day.
Buckle up. This story is filled with shocking revelations and heated debates you won't want to miss. Shaquille O'Neal's relationship with Caitlin Clark has taken an unexpected turn, and the basketball world is buzzing.
Here's a TikTok and Angel Reese's comments below. Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Let me say it again. You were never a Caitlin fan. You were an Angel Reese hater. You didn't care about Caitlin Clark's skills. You like the fact that she was a white woman performing exceptionally well in a sport dominated by black women. So instead of appreciating Caitlin for being an incredible, talented player, it was all about being anti-Angel Reese. That's not weird to y'all? Y'all think that's weird?
You left no crumbs. Okay, that's Angel Reese's response. That means that you're right. I agree. You told the truth.
Initially hesitant to acknowledge her rising stardom, Shaq openly admitted to being a hater of the Indiana Fever rookie. Why? His close bond with Angel Reese, whom he has supported throughout her career, had made him reluctant to praise Clark, despite her jaw-dropping performances. But Caitlin's talent proved too extraordinary to ignore.
Steph Curry, a little kid. Like, Steph Curry, I love. You know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. I've seen it a little bit, but I've never seen a guy consistently come down. And if you look at, like, if you saw Steph on the street, he ain't got the LeBron muscles. He's not 6'9", he's 6'10". He look like a perfect, normally office guy.
Yeah.
He's doing stuff that people never seen before. She's doing stuff we've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis.
During the 2024 WNBA season, Caitlin Clark didn't just break records, she obliterated them, propelling the Indiana Fever to their first playoff appearance since 2016.
Let's face reality.
Well, we have to remember one thing. She's not Caitlin Clark.
If Angel Reese had never waved her hand in her face when LSU was beating Iowa, if that hadn't happened, Angel Reese's name might not be as big. Yes, she would have made the WNBA. But in terms of her popularity, it really soared after she took down Caitlin Clark. And then Caitlin Clark came back and got revenge by knocking LSU out. She's going to be attached to Caitlin Clark to some degree.
From claiming the WNBA Rookie of the Year award to being named Time Magazine's 2024 Athlete of the Year, Clark became the face of women's basketball in record time.
And when you look at Caitlin Clark is balling. She's a Rookie of the Year. She was one of the finalists for the league MVP honors as a rookie, breaking all types of records. She should have been on Team USA. Her brand building has been incredibly impressive.
Even Shaq couldn't stay silent. In an interview, he confessed, "I was trying to be upset, but she makes the right pass, the right play. She's the real deal."
I realized that this was the first year that I was more interested in the women's than I was in men's basketball. No disrespect to the men, but we've always had fabulous women players. This year it was just different. It was like 15 or 20 beautiful females really doing their thing, and I'm happy for women. I'm happy for women's sports. But again, this was the first time that I said, you know what? I'm more interested in the women playing than the men.
Shaq's praise didn't stop there. He compared Caitlin's impact to that of Steph Curry, highlighting her consistency and the way she elevates the game. For Shaq, this level of excellence is what sets her apart. She isn't just playing basketball, she's revolutionizing it.
This is a dream come true. Like, these are the moments you dream of. I think the more eyeballs you can get on this league, you know, the better off this world's going to be.
However, this wasn't just about giving Caitlin her due credit. In a surprising twist, Shaq subtly criticized Angel Reese, saying Caitlin's focus on her game is what makes her special.
Imagine you in the same little shirt you had on at the Wild 'N Out show, dunking. You know how many t-shirts you gonna sell, cuz? You tripping.
Oh my
What?
God.
He even suggested Angel, who often leans into fashion and pop culture, needs to focus more on her performance on the court to achieve the same level of respect.
A lot of time when we critique these guys, you know, these youngsters and these females, they don't understand that all the stuff that they're getting ready to go through, we are the masters of that.
Shaq didn't mince words, implying that Angel's path to success might require embracing the competitive grit that defines Caitlin Clark.
It's not all about sharing everything. It's about actually keeping a lot of this stuff intimate and private. Personally, I wouldn't wear that because that's not the way I want to be represented.
She's literally held up an outline after getting waxed. Oh yes, please tell me how sexualized you are.
This moment wasn't just a nod to Caitlin's greatness, it was a reality check for Angel Reese. By drawing these comparisons, Shaq has added fuel to an already heated rivalry, sparking debates across the sports world about what it takes to truly stand out in professional basketball.
I'm not even talking about the outfit. I'm talking about overall pressure of having to be compared as a brand to somebody who's conducting their branding with near perfection.
As Caitlin Clark continues to make waves on the court, her life off the court took a disturbing turn recently when a stalker was arrested for threatening her safety. This shocking revelation has added another layer of complexity to her already high-profile career.
Prior to placing him into custody, police met with Lewis last week about the threats along with his presence in Indianapolis, and he said that he was in the city for a vacation and described his messages as a fantasy type thing that should have been the first red flag of it all, if not the second, third, fourth, or 37th red flag. He said that Lewis continued to send Clark messages even after speaking with local authorities. So it is clear that there was something wrong.
The stalker, a Texas man named Michael Lewis, was charged with felony stalking after sending numerous threatening and sexually explicit messages to Clark. Authorities tracked him through his IP address and discovered that he had traveled to Indianapolis, claiming to be on vacation. However, his behavior painted a much darker picture. Lewis admitted to driving past Caitlin's house multiple times a day and sending her messages that escalated in intensity, even after being warned by law enforcement.
There's something wrong with this man. He is clearly not all right in the head, and he is clearly dangerous. This is awful. I hate hearing stories like this. We heard one just recently, just a few months ago, about Paige Becker and her stalker as well.
The situation highlights the dark side of fame, particularly for women in sports. While Caitlin has earned global acclaim for her athletic prowess, her rising stardom has also made her a target for obsessive behavior. Unlike many who might respond publicly to such threats, Caitlin has chosen to maintain her composure and not engage. This silent resilience speaks volumes about her character and the way she handles adversity.
We had not truly heard from Caitlin Clark about how any of the discourse online, the hate that she received online, things like this, like she has never openly come out and talked about any of these things. She has never complained about these sort of things. I think the absolute best way to deal with trolls, to deal with someone who's threatening you, to deal with any of these things is to not respond, do not engage, and keep receipts of those things. And I'm sure that's what she was doing here.
What makes this story even more chilling is how close the situation came to spiraling out of control. Despite police intervention, Lewis continued his behavior, underscoring the urgent need for stronger security measures for athletes like Caitlin. The Indiana Fever organization and the WNBA as a whole now face pressure to enhance protections for their players. This isn't the first time a WNBA player has faced such threats, but it serves as a wake-up call. As Caitlin balances the immense pressure of her first year in the league, dealing with incidents like this adds an emotional toll that few can imagine. Yet through it all, she has remained focused on her game, refusing to let external distractions derail her journey.
Unfortunately, this is something that so many celebrities have to deal with. This is probably, unfortunately, not the only person who goes as far as to actually stalking her.
The incident also shattered a common misconception. Many critics claimed Caitlyn faced little adversity and enjoyed an easy rise to fame compared to other players. However, this event proves that even the brightest stars carry their own burdens. Caitlyn's ability to handle these challenges with grace has only further solidified her status as a role model, not just in basketball, but in life.
But I'm sure on the daily, she gets weird messages, she gets hateful messages, she gets trolling, she gets all of those things.
Angel Reese recently took to her debut podcast, Unapologetically Angel, to address the swirling controversies around her career, Caitlyn Clark, and the racism she claims to have faced from Clark's fan base.
Multiple occasions, people have made AI pictures of me like naked. When it's behind your name, that's when a lot of people are like, oh, they think, oh, I don't like her because her fans are saying this. No, I don't believe in her heart that she has hatred towards me. And I'm sure she believes that I don't have hatred towards her, but I think her fan base has gone, I'm talking about like...
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
While Reese acknowledged Clark's talent and even hinted at the possibility of them playing together one day, the podcast quickly became a platform for Reese to express her frustrations with the Fever Rookie's passionate supporters. Reese described her encounters with Clark's fans as disrespectful and accused them of being fueled by racism. She stated, "I respect her fans' loyalty, but there's a lot of racism in the way they come at me."
The problem is the WNBA not paying enough.
Okay, y'all want them to pay more, but the fans have to do the same thing they do for the NBA.
Right.
You got to show support. You got to show up. You got to buy jerseys. You got to buy shoes. You got to do that. They're starting to do that now.
NBA players and NBA viewers and NBA game attendees built the WNBA. Let's not pretend like these women who are in the WNBA built it. They can barely keep what was given to them.
This wasn't the first time Reese has made such claims, but the timing of her statements raised eyebrows. Coming off a 7-game losing streak with the Chicago Sky and facing criticism for her lackluster performance, Reese appeared to deflect attention from her on-court struggles to off-court drama.
Now people don't even watch the game.
Because I don't want to use the B word. It's like you're watching like a high school game. Our game is different because we do all the stuff.
WNBA lost $50 million. The only reason they make it is because the NBA kind of gives money to them to help them out. It's a lost cause every year.
NBA has been in existence for 50 more years than the WNBA. They do bring in more money. They bring in about, several $1 billion as opposed to several $1 million. But times have changed. We know that this college basketball game was viewed by more people than all the men's college basketball games.
Adding to the controversy, Reese revealed the extreme harassment she has endured, including death threats and AI-manipulated explicit images of herself circulating online. The harassment reportedly escalated to the point where individuals tracked her to her home, creating a sense of fear and unease.
People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
And that's why you got to do what you've been doing. Go take the
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you load that thing to 99999.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah. Beach volleyball. And the women were more popular than the men. The women were more popular than the men. I'm telling you dunking with the Shaq emblem with your knees up, man, you tripping. You tripping, bro. What? A pretty girl dunking on the rim? I'm watching that all the time.
While such behavior is unacceptable, critics argue that Reese's decision to launch her podcast during a slump and her focus on external issues distract from her commitment to basketball. The contrast between Reese and Clark couldn't be starker.
Caitlyn Clark, the reason I bring up Caitlyn Clark is because they're attached at the hip with one another, which means they're ultimately going to be compared.
I hate when people say people are like somebody else. We had this discussion before. You need to be you.
Caitlyn Clark has handled her branding extremely well. Whereas with Angel Reese, sometimes you find yourself scratching your head and wondering what the hell she's doing. Like that photo right there. But when you do that, you can't come down the line and complain about being objectified later on. It's not going to work.
While Caitlyn has faced her own challenges, including a stalker, she has consistently chosen not to address the negativity publicly. Instead, Clark channels her energy into her game, a quality Shaquille O'Neal highlighted when he compared her to Steph Curry. Reese, on the other hand, has taken a more vocal approach, which some fans see as shifting the narrative away from her struggles on the court.
She was seen during various interviews and what have you, talking about threats, talking about insults, crying about how people were coming at her with such venom and hostility, particularly in her last year at LSU. She brought up all of these things, which means she was aware of it. And if you're aware of it, you have to understand that that's going to be part of the judgment that comes against you, fair or unfair.
After the season, and when I was in my press conference and I was talking about being sexualized, like, I guess people thought that was like because I post pictures in my bathing suits. No, like, multiple occasions people have made AI pictures of me like naked.
She claimed to be sexualized. What is that? Drama. Total drama.
Have you ever noticed we never hear about the sexualization of Caitlin Clark? Why don't we see Caitlin Clark being sexualized? Because Caitlin Clark doesn't allow it.
And when you do stuff like that and you're drawing attention to yourself because of that, that can be problematic for you, especially when the comparison is going to be drawn to Caitlin Clark, who isn't doing such things.
Reese's comments also reignited debates about her focus on fashion and pop culture versus basketball. Shaq's critique that Reese needs to prioritize her performance on the court was echoed by many fans who feel she has yet to fully embrace her potential as a player. With Caitlin Clark dominating headlines for her historic performances, Reese finds herself in an uphill battle to prove her doubters wrong. While Reese's podcast aimed to provide transparency and tackle difficult topics, it also highlighted her vulnerability in the face of public scrutiny. Her openness about harassment and her candid discussions about racism reflect her willingness to speak out, but they also underscore the challenges of balancing personal expression with professional excellence. Whether Reese can turn these challenges into motivation to excel on the court remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. The rivalry between her and Caitlin Clark continues to fuel one of the most talked about narratives in women's basketball.
When people come into the league and they're like the biggest thing in college, isn't that a big deal?
No, because A'ja Wilson was the biggest thing when she came out of South Carolina. That's where I'm from. And she didn't get all of that.
I mean, you're saying that's racism?
No, I'm not saying it's racist. I'm just saying that I think A'ja Wilson has a point. And I think sometimes when, black women say certain things, we should listen, and especially her, because I'm not in her shoes.
I don't know, but why was Serena Williams such a big star? Because people like that. They didn't not watch her because she was black, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They hate her because she's white, she's straight, and more importantly, she's better than everybody else. Period. End of story.
In the Indiana Fever, President Allison Barber revealed this request made by Clark during the season. Listen.
After a few away games and all of the sellouts, Caitlin asked the WNBA if they would pay spot bonuses to the away team players. She said, wow, we're making all this new revenue, and I would like the away team to benefit from that. Could they get a spot bonus? So that's the heart of Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's a classy, amazing person.
The drama surrounding Shaquille O'Neal's explosive statements, Caitlin Clark's rising stardom, and Angel Reese's controversies paints a vivid picture of the challenges and triumphs in women's basketball today. Shaq's apology to Caitlin Clark wasn't just an acknowledgement of her greatness, it was a wake-up call for the league and its players. Meanwhile, Caitlin's grace under pressure, even in the face of a dangerous stalker, solidifies her as a true role model.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career. But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Yes.
On the other hand, Angel Reese's candid revelations on her podcast have added new dimensions to her story, highlighting the struggles she faces both on and off the court. As these narratives unfold, one thing is certain. Women's basketball is no longer just about the game. It's about the personalities, rivalries, and stories that captivate fans worldwide. Whether it's Caitlin Clark redefining excellence, Angel Reese navigating her challenges, or Shaquille O'Neal stirring the pot, the WNBA has never been more exciting. Let us know what you think about this intense saga in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on the biggest stories in sports. Stay tuned because the drama is far from over.
Caitlin Clark was named AP Female Athlete of the Year following her impact on women's sports. Caitlin Clark raised the profile of women's basketball to unprecedented levels in both the college ranks and the WNBA, and Tuesday she was named the AP Female Athlete of the Year for her impact on and off the court. Clark is only the 4th women's basketball player to be honored as the Female Athlete of the Year since it was first presented in 1931, joining Cheryl Swoops, Rebecca Lobo, and Candace Parker.